Hello and welcome to day 5. Congratulations on making it to the final day of the song Accelerator. Before we get started, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the effort that you've put in. The vast majority of people who signed up for this program will not have gotten this far. In fact, the average online program completion rate is around 15%, which means if you're listening to this right now, you are already in the top 15% of all attendees. And that's just for showing up. So pat yourself on the back. Your commitment to learning about songwriting shows just how dedicated you are. And I have no doubts that if you're still here, you have what it takes to write the songs of tomorrow. With that in mind, let's finish this thing. By now, if all has gone to plan, you should have the melody, chords, and lyrics for 3 verses of your song. In today's lesson, we're going to write a chorus or B section for your song. Writing a chorus is a very common roadblock for songwriters. There is nothing more frustrating than coming up with a great verse, only to never find a chorus that seems to fit with it. The reason this is difficult is because you need to find something that sounds different enough that it stands out as a new section, but also seems to belong to the same song. Sound familiar? Well, never fear. I'm about to show you my favorite technique for coming up with choruses that actually fit with the rest of your song. This is done through changing what's called the tonal center, and I'll explain what that means in a moment. Just a tip, this technique also works just as well for coming up with verse ideas if you've started with a chorus. Remember back to day 1 when you listened to your motifs and you figured out which note they resolve on. This note is the tonal center, or the tonic. You can think of it as if it has its own kind of gravity, which pulls all the other notes toward it. It's the sun in the center of a musical solar system. Now, the tonic note is usually the same name of the key. So in the key of C major, the tonic is C, and in the key of G major, the tonic is G, and so on. But there is a way to write music that uses all the same notes and chords of a particular key, but has a different tonic. In fact, any of the notes in a key can function as a tonic. In music, we call these modes. Instead of me trying to explain the theory of this any further, because it does get kind of complicated, I want to just see if you can hear what I'm talking about in action. So once again, here is my verse, written in the key of C. You can hear that this melody resolves on a C note. Can you hear that? This C has its own kind of gravity that's pulling all the other notes toward it. Now I'm going to play you a chorus idea that still uses the notes and chords from the key of C, but it has D as its tonal center instead of C. Do you hear how this melody is centered around this D note? Let's listen to it again. D is very much the tonal center of this melody, even though it's written in the key of C. Now let's listen to how beautifully this D-centered chorus flows back into my original C-centered verse. Da, 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 da. In this example, both verse and chorus are written in the key of C, meaning they both fit together really well. But the chorus stands out because it's borrowing a different note for its tonal center. Instead of centering around C, this chorus is centering around D. Let's try a different example. This time I'm going to play my verse and then follow it with a chorus that centers around A. Da, 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 Let's try one more example to prove that this theory works. Let's try a chorus that centers around F. That's this guy here. Da, 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 This technique works, right? So how do you write a section with a new tonal center? Well, the first thing you want to do is choose the note that's going to be the new tonal center for your chorus. This can be any note in the key. Some will work better than others. The sixth is probably the easiest because that's the relative minor, but you could also choose the second or the fourth or any of the other notes in the key. For my song, I'm going to go with the fourth. So my song's in the key of C, so that means I simply count 4 steps up the C major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. That gives me an F. Next, you write your new chord progression beginning with that chord. So my new tonal center is F, so I'll start my progression with an F major chord. Remember here that we're still working inside the key of C. So if, for example, you chose an A as your new tonal center, you would start your new chord progression with an A minor chord, not an A major, because A minor is the A we find in the key of C. Make sense? Complete the rest of your chord progression with any of the other chords in your chosen key, just like you did on day 2. I've decided to go with F, C, D minor, and then D minor again. Next, you write your melody. This is where you get to be really creative. Your only rule is to make sure your melody is focused around your new tonal center. So for me, that's that F note. To do this, I usually start my melody there and then see where it goes, but you don't have to. Remember, you can apply the same guidelines you use to write your verse melody to write this one. Come up with a short, simple, and rhythmic motif, and then use repetition and variation to build it into a melody. As you heard before, this is the melody that I came up with for my chorus. Da, 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 da. Now it's your turn. Pause this lesson now and spend the next 10 minutes writing a chord progression and melody for your chorus. Pause this lesson now. How did you go? If everything went to plan, you should have the chord progression and melody for your chorus. If you need a bit more time to work these out, then that's okay too. I know I'm pushing you through this really quickly. When you're ready to move on, the next thing your chorus needs is lyrics. Chorus lyrics usually emphasize the central idea of your song. So go back and have a look at your 3-sentence story. What is this story really about? Try to put this into a single sentence called a focusing sentence. This is something a lot of songs struggle with, so take your time here. Your song will really benefit from this. Here's my focusing sentence. Appreciating my partner for supporting me through the good and the hard times. Pause this lesson now and spend the next 2 minutes coming up with a focusing sentence for your song. Once you know what your song is about, you'll need to find a hook line that demonstrates this. Use the same technique that you learned yesterday to fit lyrics to your melody through singing random words and sentences over the top. Only this time, do it with your song's focusing sentence in mind. You're still singing random words and sentences, but you're also thinking about the meaning of the song. My advice is don't try and be too clever here. The best hooks are usually quite conversational, so they're things that you'd hear in everyday conversation. Here's what I came up with for mine. Every time I close my eyes, I can feel you there. Once you've finished your chorus section, you can play it with your verses and work out a structure that works for your song. And that's it. You will then have finished a brand new original song. Congratulations. You'll remember at the start of this program, I asked you to not get too precious about this song and to treat it more as a practice song so you can work through each of the steps and strengthen your songwriting muscles. Now that you've been through the process once, you can then repeat it again and again to write more and more songs. The more you write, the better your songs will get. And please, feel free to adapt the process and make it your own. Everyone is different, and part of your journey as a songwriter is finding out what works for you. I hope that you've been able to find some helpful new tools in this program. Before I leave you, I want to thank you for coming along this journey with me. As I mentioned in the intro to this lesson, less than 15% of people will have made it this far. So well done, really. I hope that we can stay connected, either through my mailing list or through social media. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Daughter Songs, and just daughter on YouTube, remembering that's DAWTER. Now it's time to get your song finished. Happy songwriting, and bye for now. Oh, and PS, for some inspiration, here is the completed version of the song that I've been writing alongside you for the past 5 days. It's called Hold Me in the Morning. Hold me in the morning, roll over and keep me warm, whisper soft good morning, keep on snoozing your alarm. Hold me in the evening while we watch our favorite show. I can feel you breathing. Rest with me, we're so at home. Every time I close my eyes, I can feel you there, assuring me, adoring me. You gently squeeze my hand so I can feel you there. Darkness, I know sometimes I lose my way. I'm safe where your heart is. Help me through another day. Every time I close my eyes, I can feel you there, assuring me, adoring me. You gently squeeze my hand so I can feel you.